So over the past 10 years, I can't believe it's been 10 years since I started earning money for the first time, but over the past 10 years, I have had about 10 different income streams. I made a table for fun, as one does, and I wanted to like chart all the different income streams I had and kind of like see and compare them and see which ones I have really enjoyed and which ones I've kind of regretted. So I thought I would share the results of the table that I created today. I'll share the 10 different income streams I have tried myself, how much money I earned from each income stream, and the pros and cons of each one, of kind of like who I think it's best for and who I would recommend it for, and I will rank them from best to worst in this video. So hopefully it kind of gives you a starting point on what you think you can try and some pitfalls to avoid with certain income streams that I believe are a little bit overhyped. So let's dive into the video. Hey, my name is Dea, freelancer, digital business manager, and most recently an entrepreneur. And I'm so excited you're here. As always, there'll be timeline sections on the play bar below so you can click to what you're most interested in. And you can watch me on 2x. I will not be offended. So let's dive straight into the video. So I'm gonna go in chronological order from my most first ever way of making money to my latest venture, if that makes sense. So the first way I ever started making money, which I don't really talk about a lot, is that I used to actually run a Tumblr blog in high school. And I made money through Google AdSense on this Tumblr blog, which was really crazy because I did not know any of that was possible. Like, I was a teenager, I was just making a blog for fun. I had so much fun doing that blog. I didn't realize people made money online. I didn't realize you could make money doing something you enjoyed at all. So that was a really fun experience for me. Over the, I think, 2 to 3 years that I was monetized, I think I made around like $2,000 to $3,000 on my Tumblr blog. It was like when it was the peak of traffic, when it was like Christmas, when I would like reblog every single day and everything. I saw like $200 to $300 a month. And then other than that, it was like between $100 to $200. So that was a really exciting first way of ever making money. I think my parents were kind of shocked when I got this check from Google, and it was like a check you have to take to the bank and like cash out. I was like, I have this check, we have to take it to the bank, and Google's like paying me money. And they were like, oh gosh, like our daughter has fallen into a scam. Like, no, we're not doing that. But they took me to the bank and I got money. I got money from my blog, which was so exciting. So definitely the pros on this first revenue stream was it was super easy in the sense that I really wanted to like run my blog and I was doing it for free anyway. It wasn't easy in the sense that I got monetized right away. It took me like 2 years and I worked on my blog every single day for 2 years basically, I think, before I was monetized, before I was able to qualify for Google AdSense. But it was easy in the sense that I would have continued doing it anyway, so I wasn't really doing it for the money, so the money was kind of like an extra perk. And the cons on that side was, one, it did take me quite a while to set up. Like, you do need a lot of traffic to run ads on your website, no matter what kind of website it is, even if it's not a blog. You'll have to keep that in mind that like it really does depend on the traffic source and ensuring that you have quite a number of people coming over to your site. So that was the first thing. The second thing was that I would just say I think ads are not the most valuable thing for your audience to see. You know, like if your blog is really great and everybody loves it, they kind of like put up with the ads. So it's kind of a personal preference thing. Like, I kind of felt a little bit bad about putting ads on my blog, even though, you know, people enjoyed my blog and I was doing it for free. So I deserve to get paid for that, but it wasn't my favorite way to monetize my blog, if that makes sense. So that was just like a personal preference thing. Not to say that having ads is bad, not to say that if you have ads on your blog, it's bad or anything like that. You deserve to get your money for sure. I just think there are like more valuable ways to serve your audience and still make good income rather than opting for ads as your first option, if that makes sense. The second way that I made money was kind of tied to the first way, my blog, is that I actually was able to get some sponsored posts on my blog. This company reached out to me and were like, we have these like clothes, like they sell clothes, and if you post our clothing posts on your blog, we will pay you for every post that you do, and anybody that purchases through the links that you use you'll get like a small affiliate commission for it basically as well. So that was pretty interesting because I'd never been asked to do that. And I mean, I was a teenager, so I was like, free money, like for my blog, I want to try everything, right? So that was kind of a good-ish option. I think I made around a couple hundred, like $100 to $200 or something, which was a lot for a teenager. So it was kind of exciting. So the pros on that side was like, my blog was already done. It was super easy. So I just had to reblog. Like I didn't really have to put that much effort into it. But the cons, I would say, is even more so than the ads. I felt like they weren't the highest quality of things I could have been giving to my audience to make money, because it was kind of like this random clothing post, and I'm not sure it was the best fit for my audience because I was running like a humor blog. So like the clothing post kind of diluted the quality of my posts, and they were kind of random, not really relevant to what I like. I wasn't a fashion blog or anything. So on that front, it kind of made me feel like a little icky, because I felt like I was just like, oh, whatever, like I'll post it and then I'll like kind of like flood my blog with like better quality posts so that gets kind of buried, which is just kind of left me with like a kind of a weird feeling. Like I felt like I was spamming, and it did not feel aligned with how I wanted to portray myself. I don't think it was particularly valuable to my audience either, so not my favorite. I would definitely put that under Google AdSense for now. Third way I made money was once I got to university, I took on a part-time job as a student in the admissions department of my university. I think over the 2-3 years, I made basically around like 10 to 15K. So when I was at university and I didn't really have much money, it was a lot of money to me. Like 500 euros a month felt like I was living. Like I was like, wow, this is so much money. I'm so lucky to have this job, you know, and it was a really fun job. It was very convenient because it was all on campus. I didn't have to commute anywhere. I got to meet lots of people and give like campus tours and talk to potential people that wanted to come to our school. And I loved the school. So I was like, this is super easy. Like I can be authentic in this. Like I actually love studying here. So just ask me any questions. So that felt really good. All of that was really nice. The cons of it, I guess, were nothing really. Like it was minimum wage, but that didn't really bother me at the time because I didn't really have any work experience anyway. So I wasn't like, how dare they pay me minimum wage? I was like, yes, I'm getting paid anything. So there wasn't really anything negative there. I thought it was a really positive experience overall and a great first kind of like job, if you will. So I would slot that in above Google AdSense because I got more money for it and I still felt like it was really fun. The next one that I got were two. They were two corporate internships. One was 3 months, one was 6 months. And I think I brought in about 10K over 9-ish months that I was an intern. I was getting paid minimum wage as well, but this was a full-time job. The pros, they're really good for learning and trying things out before committing, especially if you're like, I'm not sure if I want to work with this company. I'm not sure if I want to work in this department. It's a really good way to kind of test it and give it a test drive before you commit. Also, I didn't really have any work experience, so starting as an intern was like fine with me because I feel like the expectations on interns are lower than if somebody comes in with experience and like for an entry job or something. The people were really nice, so that was really great, and it really gave me good kind of like experience on my CV. Like they were a good company, so that was really nice. Yeah, those were the main pros. The cons were, I guess it was just like my first time trying what it would be like to work a 9 to 6, or sometimes it was like 9 to midnight, one time it was like 9 to 2 a.m. or something. It was my first time doing that. It was my first time, you know, having work take up a humongous portion of my life, and it was not work that I particularly enjoyed. It was not like, the purpose of it was not very fulfilling to me, and it felt very draining to me. I'm not gonna lie, it felt like it was draining my soul. It was a lot of hours sitting in the office itself. Even if you didn't have work, you would still have to sit and be there, which I felt was a little bit strange because I felt like I was being punished for being really good and efficient at my work because I would have to sit there anyway, and I would get more work if I finished my work faster. Yeah, pretty repetitive tasks, pretty low pay. So overall, I would slot this in under Google AdSense. The next one, this one's kind of a funny one. I did try thrifting and secondhand selling of clothes because I was just so desperate to find alternative ways to make money, and I thought maybe I could give this a go. So over the time, the amount of money I made from this, it's really funny. It's actually negative profit, because, well, I'll tell you that in a second. But the pros of thrifting were it was really fun. I love thrifting. I love secondhand shopping. Those were the main pros. The cons were I actually lost money because when I signed up for secondhand shops, I actually ended up buying more secondhand clothes than I was selling. So yeah, it was fun, but I did not do that well. And I did not do it strategically, I will say. There are a lot of people who know way more about thrifting professionally and can do it strategically, and I did not do my homework. So that was kind of my bad, which led to the con. But I think there is a lot of potential there if you are interested in thrift shopping for sure. All right, now we've gotten to kind of the main meaty part of income streams, which was freelancing. That was my next big income stream. I started freelancing on the side of my corporate internships to be like, I have to find an alternative way to make money. I cannot do this for the next 50, 60 years. I don't know how everybody else is doing it. I don't know how, because I was like crying every day, right? So I started freelancing. Freelancing brought me over 300K over about 4 to 5 years. So pretty good overall. I started very slow in the beginning. I wasn't making nearly as much money as I was towards the end. It was really like exponential in the beginning because I was charging so little rates. I had no experience, no portfolio, and I didn't really know anybody. So I had fewer clients, obviously. And then as I got booked out, I started increasing my rates. And from there, you know, it really builds on itself because your references build on themselves, the proof builds on itself, the portfolio and all of that stuff. It kind of, snowballed from there. So lots of pros here. If you want a full video of the good, bad, and ugly of freelancing, you can find that. I don't remember which side it was, but you can find it there. But like pros are like freedom, passion, great money. I get to work when I want, where I want. And also another big pro that I don't think people talk about too much is that there isn't that high of a barrier to entry. Like you don't have to try to get a job at a company. Like you can just set up online shop and go where clients are, like whether that's a freelancing platform or Facebook groups or networking groups, or go to like a real life networking event or something. And you can just get started freelancing with like one person. You just have to convince one person to give you a one-time project or something. And then you can get started with freelancing. So the barrier is low cost as well to start. Like all I needed was Wi-Fi and my laptop. So that was really great. And I got to work with a lot of cool clients. And as a result, I learned so much. I learned so much as a freelancer because I worked with basically over 40 clients over the past few years. And when you get to go behind the scenes of so many different types of businesses in different industries, selling different products, services, you can really pull out the lessons learned and the mistakes and really see like the big picture, you know, because most people are just behind the scenes of one business. So you kind of see how that business does it. But as a freelancer, you get to see so many businesses and you can kind of see what all the top performing businesses are doing and what all the businesses that aren't doing well are like making their mistakes in. So that was really awesome. Cons, if you are stuck on hourly based pricing, which by the way, you should try your best to move away from hourly ASAP as a freelancer. But hourly based pricing is not the best because you are again getting punished for getting good at your job because you are, it's just getting cheaper for the client the faster you're getting at your job. So that's something to keep in mind. Is to move away from that type of pricing. Potential burnout if you take on too many clients. Sometimes there are really bad clients out there. That also makes freelancing not super fun. So you really have to have filters in place to ensure that you're only signing really awesome people, and you have to manage yourself. That's definitely something it's a lesson learned. You have to learn how to manage yourself and manage your time and ensure that you are getting everything done to the quality that clients expect them to be done to. So that's something to keep in mind. But like once you work through all of those, like the pros, they can't compare. Like there's nothing that can compare to the pros, honestly. The next thing I did after a few years of freelancing as a digital business manager is I created an online course. The online course has brought in over $250,000 roughly over the past year. I'm like, is that right? Over the past year-ish, a little longer than a year. So the pros here are definitely like good money because you're being paid for your knowledge, like you're packaging up your knowledge. It is relatively passive income-ish, though I'm going to talk about the cons in a second. They can really help people from a beginning to end, kind of like a holistic way, because before that, a lot of people were asking me about how to become a digital business manager, and I could only like help them with little snippets because they would send me like 1 to 2 questions, I would respond to them, or we'd get on a 15-minute call and they would ask their questions, and I couldn't tell them every single thing I had learned over the past few years, right? So an online course, like my online course is 100 lessons long. It's A to Z. I know this sounds like promo. It's not promo. I'm just trying to tell you that like with an online course, you can really give somebody everything, all the knowledge you have in a very structured way instead of like random pieces of information, if that makes sense. And it's really fun if you like teaching, which I like to teach. I like to share knowledge and I like to help people do better than I did. So that was all like really fun packaged together into like creating an online course. But the cons, people don't talk about these when they talk about online courses. It took me hundreds of hours to create my online course. Yes, you don't have to create as big of a course as I did. I just felt like to really do my students I didn't want people to join my course and be like, this is stupid. Like she's just telling us stuff I can find on Google. Like I wanted to create something that was really a one-stop shop for somebody who wanted to do this, and it would guide them from beginning to end, and it would be extremely valuable to that person. So that's why I wanted to really pour so much love into it. Like it wasn't just my experience. I did a ton of research and like I made sure everything was as good as it could be, which is why it took me hundreds of hours to create this content. And so it was really a lot of work. So the barrier to entry, I would say, is relatively high, and people kind of underestimate how much work this really is. And this is not to dissuade you from creating a course. If you have something to share, which like I think everybody does, I think an online course is a great thing, but I also think it's really good to take your time with it and have that expectation that it will take you a chunk of time. Like this is a really big project to do a really good job of it, and don't kind of like rush through it and just like produce something, you know? And another thing that I think people sometimes forget is the online course is just like one step of this entire thing. Like you are essentially starting a business, and the online course, creating that online course is just step one. And there's all this stuff that comes after creating your online course. You have to market it and sell it and get traffic sources like organically or paid traffic. You need to like channel people to this. You need to have like a funnel that funnels people and nurtures them to get to know you and actually like you and hopefully trust you enough to purchase your course. And it's like a whole ecosystem that you have to build around your course. Like your course is just the asset. You need to create all these other elements to support your course to actually get it to sell. And I think a lot of times people think they just create the course and put it on their site and then people will magically come. That's unfortunately not the case. So you really have to have a think about, you know, whether you are prepared for this project and really set clear expectations and manage your time accordingly if you're deciding to create a course. But I'm so glad I created my course. It is the foundation of my business now. Like DBM Bootcamp, the foundation of it has been this course. And I am terrified every day that I could have not created my course because there was a lot of mindset stuff that was happening when it came to this course, and I could have very easily not created it. And thankfully I did. I don't know what possessed me, like an ounce of courage, and I like rode that little ounce of courage until the course was done or something. But yeah, it was one of the hardest things I've ever done. Whoa, my foot is going numb. One of the hardest things I've ever done, but amazing. So if you're thinking about that, like I recommend it to you, but I recommend going in with the right expectations and potentially kind of having another source of income, because I was building my course on the side of freelancing. And so my freelancing was supporting my lifestyle, and I didn't have to depend on the course to make money yet, obviously, because I was still creating it. It wasn't making any money. So I didn't have to depend on the course. And I think that helped it a little bit as well, because I think if you're depending on this course, you're going to feel a lot of pressure and feel very overwhelmed to get it going and to get traffic and to market and sell it and all this stuff. So the course I would probably slot it in under freelancing, because I don't think I could have created a really good course if I hadn't gotten all my experience with freelancing and actually really worked very hard as a freelancer before switching over to my course, if that makes sense. So I would still credit freelancing as one of the best income stream I've had so far. All right, the other income stream that I tried was starting a membership program with my partner. My partner is a data engineer, and so we created a data school that taught people everything from data analysis, Python programming, web scraping, to machine learning, data visualization, all of that stuff. And it was in a membership platform format. So not an online course, but people pay monthly and get access to basically all this training that they need to become a data analyst or a data scientist or whatever it is. So when it comes to a membership program, I think a lot of times people get really excited about this because it's like recurring profit. Obviously, you're like, oh, I get to like make money on a recurring basis, which is very exciting. But there are some caveats there as well. So first, the pros, it's definitely passive-ish. It requires a lot of work to set up and maintain, but it's passive-ish. It's also continuous income instead of one-off, which is really nice because it's easier to make money with people who already know, like, and trust you than try to keep acquiring new people who have no idea who you are. And our membership program is relatively low price, which was really nice because then it was like a very low entry and low barrier for most people to join. So yeah, that was kind of exciting. But the cons was it's a ton of work. Like, membership programs are a ton of work. People don't realize it. And most of the time, if you have a recurring kind of system, you will need to work on some sort of recurring value proposition where you give them more content or live trainings or live Q&As. Like, there must be a reason for somebody to stay in the membership program. So it is quite a lot of work to have to keep up with that. With an online course, you kind of can create it once. And if you have support elements, you have to do those, obviously. But with the course, it's like the bulk of it is ready. But with a membership program, you have to continuously put something out to keep people to stay in. And like, retention is a big thing. You have to really always have retention strategies in your mind. Is like, how can I keep people interested and staying and joining? And it's a huge commitment to start, which is why I do not recommend membership programs for beginners whatsoever. If you're just getting started, do a one-off thing because you can also learn and there's an end in sight instead of like opening up an open-ended membership program where if somebody purchases a year up front, you're gonna have to run that membership program for a year, or you have to refund them or something if you decide the membership is not what you actually want to do. So something to keep in mind. But membership, I would slot in underneath online course. Next up, I did coaching, and I had and ran my own mastermind for the first time. I had already done coaching for other people, for other clients, for their masterminds and their group coaching programs, but I also started a mastermind of my own. It brought in my mastermind plus doing coaching for external people. I think it brought in about like $50,000 over the past 6 to 8 months-ish. So pros, it's like really good money because it's based on your knowledge and experience in certain fields. So that's really nice. And it can be very impactful for your student or client to work with like you in a one-on-one setting or in a smaller group setting where they can get feedback from everybody. It can be a little bit more powerful than a DIY solution most times. And it can be a little bit more customized, which I really like because I don't really believe in one size fit all for some things. So when you can work one-on-one with somebody, you can really get to know them, what their personal preferences are, and you can give them solutions that are more customized to how they ultimately want to run their business or the business model that works for them, if that makes sense. Cons, one, it's kind of a higher barrier to entry for sure. So you will need some credibility and proof of your experience and expertise before you begin. It's not really something I recommend to beginners. So that's kind of a con. You will need probably some sort of an audience or connections that are willing to trust you to do this. Yeah, not super beginner friendly. And another thing, this is for those of you that are a little bit more introvert side, which I'm definitely a little bit more introvert side. It can be a little bit draining to be on coaching calls for a really long time because you have to give so much of your energy to like the problem and actually helping somebody problem solve things. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. I would slot this in above memberships. Next up, selling digital templates and resources. We launched the DBM shop in April or May. This has brought in a couple $100s over the past 4 or 5 months. Not a lot of money because we're not prioritizing it right now. And I'll mention this in the con for a second, but like a shop is not something just you set it and forget it. You have to really actively work on it unless you're on some sort of a marketplace like Etsy or something where people are actually searching for things. Like the DBM shop, like my shop is on my website, which means people are not like searching on my website for things. So that's something to keep in mind is like, if you do want to start a shop, I recommend going to a marketplace first to build up recognition and like brand awareness and go where people are actually searching for those products versus starting it on your own website for sure. Pros, I definitely think this is the most passive-ish of the different passive income products. Like I call them passive because it's so much upfront work and there's actually a lot of maintenance work for most of the products I've mentioned. Even if people say they're like passive, they're not like really fully passive, and I don't think it's fair to your students or clients to treat them as passive because that's like saying once you join, like tough luck, like you'll figure it out, I'm not helping you after that, which I don't think is very fair. But with a digital template or resource of some kind, I do think it's relatively passive because the support that you have to offer is not as high as an online course or a membership program, if that makes sense. Cons, you will have to work on traffic. You will have to figure out how to get people there. If you're on a marketplace, that's a different story. But if you are starting a digital shop on your own website, you need to have some sort of traffic strategy, marketing strategy, sales strategy, figuring out how to get people there, how to get them interested, how to get them to remember to buy, all of those things. So that there's, again, like the ecosystem needs to support this shop up. And you need to create that, which is why our income for our shop has been so low, because I haven't prioritized setting up like all of this, which we're slowly trying to do now. We're like going to set up some like email sequences to nurture our audiences back into it. We're going to start talking about it in different YouTube videos. So if you see that, then that's part of that strategy. And yeah, another thing is this takes longer than most people think to set up. It's a lot. Like it can be a lot. Like I wrote down all the steps. If you want a full video on this, let me know. You have to do product research and make sure the product you're creating is actually a good product. Then you have to actually create the product. Then you have to host the product somewhere. Then you have to set up the tech. You need to set up the email delivery. You need to set up like the payment integration. You need to set up the sales pages and the checkout pages. And yeah, all of that needs to work seamlessly. And that's just for one product. So that's something to keep in mind, is like manage your expectations if you're thinking about starting a shop. Marketplaces like Etsy do make it much easier, so that's what I would recommend to beginners to start. Don't start a shop on your website if you're just getting started. And another con is you have to really prioritize product research, because if you create products that people aren't searching for, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure, because that foundation always needs to be a good product and product market fit, which means people actually really need it and are willing to pay money to get it. And the last income stream that I want to talk about that I have done kind of on and off is affiliate marketing, which is kind of like a hype word, I feel like, in online business. And like YouTube, people talk about it all the time. Like they talk about it so much, I don't even want to talk about it anymore. But I think it's brought me about a couple $100s over the years. So I'm definitely not in affiliate marketing. Like I don't really make that a focus of mine or a priority or anything. The pros definitely are, generally it's easy when done properly and authentically. When it's like something you actually do enjoy using and you use, like for example, sometimes I recommend courses that I have done as well and I think are really good courses. And when I recommend that and I get an affiliate income from recommending a course that I actually do recommend to people and it helps them, that can be like a win-win, right? It's like this person is getting something great out of it. I'm getting something for referring them. I just think the cons come when people do it in an unethical way, if that makes sense. I think a lot of people are doing a lot of weird affiliate marketing stuff. And I think, yeah, I'm just like, I don't really want to go down that world. And the important things here, like the cons, kind of like the hard parts of affiliate marketing, is like when you need traffic, like you need a lot of traffic, you need serious traffic, and you need serious strategy if you want to make a good livable income off of affiliate marketing, for sure. So that's something to keep in mind. It's not going to work if you just send it out to a few people or if you talk about it in one or two places. Essentially, you have to create your business and that ecosystem around your affiliate links and really get a lot of eyeballs on there. And make sure it's actually aligned with your audience, the offers that you're presenting, and it's things that make sense for them to purchase one day. And the second con with affiliate marketing is you don't have as much control over if you create something yourself. And that's why I want to vet everything that I'm an affiliate person for, because I want to make sure what I'm recommending is actually good. Because if it's not good, then I'm like eroding the trust with my audience, which I've spent a lot of time building up, by sending them to a product that is not good or that is not up to my quality of standard, and I can't control what that person does with somebody who purchases their course, even if they come from my audience, right? If they don't continue to support them after, or if they aren't doing their job by some reason, I can't control that, which is not as fun as if you create your own things, for sure. Templates I would put in under membership program, because I have not prioritized it, so I haven't really seen the impact that it can have on my business, though I'm sure if I prioritized it, it could have a lot more impact than it does now. Affiliate marketing I would put in under the templates, because I think it's great, but I don't think it is the best thing to get started with for most people. So those are the 11 income streams that I have personally tried and that I would rank essentially for best to worst. In my personal preferences, it might look different to different people. Again, this is just my opinion, but yeah. And the 2 income streams that I want to get into in the future, one is real estate investing. I feel like it feels very solid because there's like actually physically something there. It seems like it's a really stable and safe investment, obviously, if you invest in the right place. But the cons, like on my table, I just wrote, I don't know anything about real estate. So definitely a lot of due diligence needs to be made because it's a huge investment. So you really have to do your homework and research. It's a lot of money up front. So I really want to be careful with that. And yeah, as I venture into that, I want to see how it goes. But that's one of the future income streams that I want to explore. And the second one is, can you guess it? YouTube. So pros on YouTube is it's very fun. Video is one of my favorite like art forms. Like I think there's a lot of fun things you can do with it. I think you can share a lot very easily over video. So those are kind of the pros. The cons are, I know YouTube is a super long game. Like it's a super long game. It takes a lot of videos to get to where most YouTubers are. And it takes a lot of time and dedication. And it's very scary to start from zero. Like it's really scary for me to start from zero, especially because I've like built up my business and done all this other stuff. It's really scary to start from zero again, but I'm just treating it as an experiment. I'm here to have fun, do my best. That's all I can do. That's all I can control. And just put in the time and consistency to play that long game. But yeah, I mean, that might change in the future. Maybe one day YouTube, I'll get back on that Google AdSense game via YouTube. But for now, most of my income comes from my business and coaching. So those are my 11 income streams and 2 future income streams I want to explore. Let me know what your favorite income stream is in the comments below because we can chat. I'd love to hear other things, other ideas that I haven't thought of yet. I think having and trying lots of different income streams is a really great way to learn a lot about yourself because it's a really great way to understand how you like to spend your time and your energy and what feels like the best trade-off between making money and fulfilling your inner purpose and what you think you're meant to do here, if we're gonna get a little bit philosophical. So I hope that was helpful. I hope that was useful. I hope that was clear, but if you have any questions, let me know below. And yeah, as always, thank you so much for hanging out and I'll see you in a future video. All right, bye.